Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are going to be taking a full look at the Demko Knives AD20. Before I go any farther, I've been doing this at the end of my videos, and I've kind of been screwing up. I'm too quick to talk knives. But before I get into this, first of all, thank you for watching this episode, and please, if you haven't yet, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, take a look at some of my other videos, and let me know what you think. Your support and subscribing to my channel would mean a whole lot to me. I've been trying to grow this channel. I've been very happy with the progress, and your help would only make it better. So there's that. Now, let's talk about this amazing tank of a knife. Start out with some quick specs. Got an overall length of 8.5 inches, close length of 5 inches, overall blade length at 3.75 inches, with a cutting edge right at 3.5 inches. And right behind the edge on this guy, we are sitting at 24 thousandths. For a stock this thick, that is a pretty impressive grind. This is the machine grind. This is not the custom hollow grind, but it was also $400 less. This is coming in at $425, so it was as much as I would have liked to buy the $825 one. The funds simply were not having it, but I gotta say, I am not disappointed with this at all. We got a lot to talk about it, but first let's finish up with the specs. This is the CPM 20CV model. Blade thickness, like I said before, coming in at 0.19 inches, going back to that 24 thousandths grind. Very impressive. Surprisingly slicey for such a thick stock. A nice clip point style blade with, like I said before, the machine grind, which is basically a flat grind. A pretty nice stonewash. It's heavy, but it's also nice and dull to where it's not like a really aggressive. You don't see a lot of deep scratches, so it's kind of a smooth and dull stonewash. But it's a pretty, I guess, heavy coating or heavy wash in general. But it looks pretty nice. It really works with the overall look of the knife. We got G10 handles, handle thickness at 0.57 inches. So pretty beefy guy, but it carries surprisingly well. And of course, the star of this, the Shark Lock, and there is so much to say about it. But it's a new lock. Andrew Demko owns the patent on it, and this is already, in my opinion, a superstar, a fidget superstar. A lot more coming on that. We have washers in the pivot assembly, and we have a tip-up carry with a titanium pocket clip. And the notes I have here say that it is for right or left hand, but I kind of struggle to see that. I don't see how that's possible, so maybe you can get another clip and screw on this side. That's probably it, but I don't see that working over here. So maybe there's an extra clip you can order. That could very well be. Overall weight at 6.21 ounces. So yeah, it's not very light, but it's not a very small knife. So again, not a big issue with me. This is handmade in the USA, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing, and it is definitely very reminiscent of Andrew Demko and his other designs. Before we go any further, let's take a look at some other designs. First, let's do a couple that we all know and love. We have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, along with the Spyderco Shaman. So, pretty good idea right there of the size of this knife. Not a small knife. I would consider it a large knife for sure. But it sizes well with those two. And let's put it up with a couple other Demko designs. Two of my favorites. This is my second favorite now, but it was my favorite, along with, of course, the grumpy old hag, the one that bit me, that I'm never gonna forget, the 4-Max Scout. So as you can see, the 4-Max Scout, that kind of dwarfs it a little. It makes it look a little small, but it does that to a lot of knives. And the AD10 is pretty similar in overall length, but it's a little, got a little more girth to it, a little beefier. But pretty good similarities between these two. But some pretty good size comparisons there. Real quick on Andrew Demko, he is becoming one of my favorite designers. I'd probably put him there. For a while, it was just Vox and Hinderer for me, and I'm also a pretty big Elijah Isham fan. But Andrew Demko has really he's definitely cracked that top 3 for me. I'm especially after handling this and carrying this for a day. I'm in love with it. Let's start with the blade. Real quick, I'm going to say it one more time. You have a tank of a stock there. Compared to the AD10, it's even thicker, and it comes down to a 24 thousandths of an edge. I mean, that's up there with Protex, with Hinderers, with it's a very good edge. Surprisingly slicey, and a great overall just beast of a blade. This blade is made to work. There's absolutely no blade play. Very solid lockup. The shark lock, as you can see, it pulls down very well on it and holds it in place. And when it comes out, it's not going anywhere. I really like the slot here. The slot between the shark lock and the thumb studs and the slot, there are so many ways to open this knife, which we'll get to here in a bit. But it is just, this is a working knife made for someone that wants to just have a lot of fun with it. It does anything you want to throw at it, and it's just so impressive. The blade shape is great. Super useful blade. Very similar to the AD10. It's as far as usage and what you'd put it in the pocket for. It pretty much falls right in line with the AD10. It can take any type of hard work. Really nice jimping on the spine here. A lot better jimping than that Kaiser Assassin I was reviewing a couple days ago. But anyway, no, very nice jimping. Aggressive, but not too aggressive. I want aggressive jimping, guys. When I get a knife, I don't want to touch jimping and have my finger slide off it. I want it to bite. And that's exactly what it's doing here. And it just adds a nice extra little flair to the knife in general. Makes it a lot more useful, allows for a very solid purchase, and just a very well done job of that jimping. I also really appreciate the thumb stud being farther back behind the cutting edge. Compared to the AD15, I don't have an AD15 with me, but if you look one up, you'll notice that the thumb stud is pretty far up. It's more like, I would probably say it's almost where this slot begins. So it's really well in the cutting path. And I know a lot of times you're not going to be cutting, all the way down here. But for me, it's just, it's a bit of an eyesore. It takes away a little of the functionality of the blade. Well, not so much the functionality, but how deep you can cut with it. You never know what you might find yourself doing. Maybe you're holding it like this and you're pulling all the way down and the thumb stud's in the way. But on this guy, there's a less chance of that happening. So it's just, it's a nice little touch. It may have been something he noticed that people were calling out or didn't appreciate on the AD15, and he took care of that on the AD20. So I like that. I like that a lot. The handle and ergos on this guy are solid. They're great. The only thing that would make these any better is if the scales were contoured like the AD10. The AD10 has contoured scales, and these ergos are a dream. For my hand, they're absolutely perfect. But again, this is really right there with it. It gives you two really good ways to hold the knife. In hand like this, where you can put your thumb above the shark lock, and the beauty of this is the shark lock is at the perfect position to where it doesn't press down on your thumb. You feel it on your thumb. I mean, I'm not going to be lying if I said I didn't feel that there, but it's not a hot spot. It is zero, no hot spot at all. Super comfortable, very secure. And then you can also hold it back here if you want to do, a different style of cut and get a little, deeper pull down to cover more of the cutting edge. You got that, and you're also just putting more pressure on the shark lock. This is a super durable lock. I don't think there's any way this thing is disengaging on you or breaking. You'd have to be doing something insane and maybe still give it a little tug. And you're not going to do that. Any form of cutting, I don't see you ever really pulling back on that. I just don't know how you do it. So extremely safe, durable, strong lock. Allows you that nice choil to choke up and do any type of little fine detailed work. They're just great. The ergos are just great. I think the shark lock has an extreme amount of thought put into it, more than you would even think at first. I mean, yes, it's in the perfect spot to engage and disengage it, but the jimping on it too, if you look deep, it's got very precise, I keep saying aggressive, and I guess aggressive is probably the best word for it, because especially on this, you're going to be using this every time you close the knife. So it has to be good jimping. They could not screw up on that. It would have been a fatal flaw, and it was perfect. They absolutely nailed it. They also made it to where it's aggressive enough to work all the time, but it's not too aggressive to where when you want to get fidget crazy with it, like I've been doing, because I've been flipping this thing out left and right. It's the best of both worlds for actual use and durability and just overall functionality, and it's not going to hurt your finger or wear any calluses or tear your pretty much your index finger is the only thing that's going to be using it, but just executed perfectly. The clip on this, if I had to pick apart one thing on this knife, I think it would be the clip, just because I don't know, it just doesn't look. It just looks a little odd. Probably because I don't think I've ever seen one like this. I wish that screw was recessed. I don't think that really matters, though. I'm kind of just being for $425, guys. I'm going to pick apart a knife. I'm going to be a little more critical of it. But I don't mind the fact that it's not deep carry. Not all knives can be deep carry. I'm okay with that. It's just this section here. I don't know. I feel like maybe they could have done a little something else to it to make it look a little better. I don't know if I'd call it super ugly. It just looks weird. I will say it's growing on me. I didn't know what to think at first, and at first I thought it just really didn't look good, but I'm to the point now too to where it doesn't. Yeah, I don't dislike it. It's just kind of to me. It's a little blah, but it's not anything that would turn me away from buying the knife or recommending the knife to someone, because it's still a very functional clip. Got a pretty nice ramp. That ramp could be a little higher, depending on what kind of jeans you got. Obviously, you're probably not going to wear this in basketball shorts, so you're going to be wearing it in khakis or jeans. You may want to bend that ramp up a little, depending on the thickness of your hem. But the jeans I had just some Banana Republic jeans, and it slipped through just fine on those. So I've never really had major issues with pocket clips, especially Demko, or, well, I mean, I guess when I'm talking Demko, I'm pretty much talking cold steel knives up until just now. So never had any problems before, and this one works. It's just not my favorite looking clip. And I guess the only reason I'm pointing that out is because the rest of this knife is just absolutely gorgeous. I kind of get burnt out on black G10 sometimes, but I just don't care. I really, really like everything about the design of this knife as far as the lines and aesthetics. It's just very, very well put together, and just clean lines, aggressive lines, but hardworking. They go together. And again, it's Andrew Demko. When you see a Vox or a Hinderer, you know it's a Vox or a Hinderer, and I can definitely say that about Demko. He does a really good job of putting his own personal touch on all of his knives, and it's just a thing of beauty. And the true thing of beauty on this knife, and we'll get to it, and this is where we're going to spend probably the most amount of time, is the action, because the action on this knife is absolutely amazing. I don't know how else to put it. It's a heavy blade, so I mean, you know, the weight of the blade helps, but keep in mind, guys, I'm doing this under an iPhone, and I'm trying to, make the action look good. I'm trying to whip it out like as if I would if it was just by my side, and I don't have a lot of room to play with, and it is just so smooth. It's so smooth. You pull that shark lock back, and it just falls right in. It's just a fidget beast. An absolute fidget beast. I would never fail on the deployment of this knife if I was not doing it under this phone. I can guarantee you that. From the moment I got this out of the box yesterday afternoon, I was playing with it all evening, and it's to the point to where it's second nature. It's just a bigger knife, so you got to get comfortable, flipping around a bigger knife like this, because if you don't do a good enough job, it could come back and bite you. But it's so smooth, and it doesn't have that cold steely type of resistance. It does a little, but it's a much smoother resistance. On the AD10, well, the AD10 is actually really smooth. It's probably not one to use as a prime example, but the Formax is, as you've all seen before. But if you don't push it out on that first flip, it's coming back, and it's going to get you. But this one will not do that. This is absolute butter, and I've found 7 ways to deploy this knife. And the first one, some people may not like, but you can whip it out. And you can whip it out just like that. And that's just the nature of the beast on this lock, guys. It doesn't have a detent. Or not, maybe it has a different type of detent, but it's not the same type of detent that you're used to, like the little detent ball. The resistance that holds it in is just not so quick and instant. It's more gradual. So it's kind of, as you can see there, it's kind of rolling on it. So it's just, it's not a sudden stop. It's just a gradual, strong enough resistance to where I would never in a million years worry about this thing opening up in my pocket. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. This is a 100% safe knife. But so that's the first one. You can whip it out like that. And then you can also thumb roll it, do the slow thumb roll, which, it's a little boring, but it's still kind of cool on this one. You can do the thumb flip. You can do the index flick. And you can actually do the index flick on the thumb hole or the slot, or thumb stud or the slot. You can Spidey flick it. I'm kind of not executing it the very first time every time, but I'm also, again, under an iPhone. It's not that easy. You can, of course, do the shark lock, which is awesome. That's probably the funnest one. I mean, look at this. Boop, there we go. It's just, this is the most fidgety knife I've ever had. It just is. The weight of the blade and overall size of the knife, for me, it doesn't even really take away from it. It is just absolutely... Right now, I will have to deem this knife the Fidget King. And fidget factor is a big thing for me, guys. I mean, I think it's a big thing for a lot of you. I know it's not the end of the world for everybody, but it's really nice to be able to just kind of, if you're waiting or you're bored or you're just hanging around and not doing anything, sometimes you play with your knife. There's nothing wrong with that. Do it as responsibly as you can and don't lose a digit. And we all do it. So there's no point in not addressing it. But it's just amazing of how great it is with the slot, the thumb stud, the shark lock. This is the Fidget King. And it's going to be pretty hard to dethrone this, I think. Makers have their work cut out for them, we'll put it that way. But all in all, just the execution of the lock, the blade, the size, the thickness, the functionality, the handle, the overall design, I'm in love with this knife. This is definitely going to be in contention for knife of the year for me. No doubt. We'll have to see what else comes out. There's a couple up there that may give it a run, but man, I don't know. Right now, I don't want to take this out of my pocket anytime soon. So this is going to get probably more pocket time this year than any other knife, I think, because it's just awesome. When Cold Steel eventually probably makes a model of this, I'll probably buy one then just to compare the two. But I'm so happy. I didn't have any idea how happy I was going to be with this knife until I took it out of the box. I kind of ordered it on a whim. I thought I'd hopefully be the first one to get to review it, and then Slicey beat me out at the last minute. Right before I started this video, I got on and I saw he posted his first impressions, which I couldn't watch him. Now I'm going to go back and watch him because he's probably my favorite viewer. If you guys are not if by some miracle, unbeknownst to me, that you are watching this channel and not Slicey Dicey, you got to fix that. You should actually follow him and then apologize to him for watching any of my videos before his, because he's awesome. He's probably he's definitely one of my inspirations to start my channel. So, but he beat me to it. He beat me, and I was hoping I could be the first one to get this out, but that's okay. That's my review of it, guys. This thing is built like a tank. The quality for me is right on par with the Hinderer and any other knife in that $425 range. The Shark Lock's amazing, and it's one you got to try. This is a knife that everyone has to experience. You really, really do. It's so different, it's innovative, and this is going to be around for a while. So, you know, I would definitely recommend picking one of these up if you can, checking them out. I would be shocked if you were disappointed with it, because I was shocked at how thrilled I was with it. So there you go, guys. There it is. That's the Andrew Demko AD20. Let me know what you think, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.